Well, this is supposed to be a Q&A session. And let's see. Latest I've heard is we're supposed to have Corey join us. And he is working on it at the moment. So he's probably just going to pop in at any moment. Hi, guys. How you doing? This is our open mic night, I guess you can call it. It's our chance for you to ask us, the Cretins Guild, or just me right now, whatever you want. You want to ask us about video games, you want to ask us about anything we've worked on in the past, both professional or creatively. It is completely up to you guys. Let's see. Some of the stuff I wanted to talk about tonight. I wanted to talk about some of the or not Universal. Well, yeah, Universal. I want to talk about that. Let's see. Yeah, some theme park stuff in general. I also want to talk about the discussion of AI, artificial intelligence, obviously, being used as a form of art. We're going to talk about, once Corey gets on, we want to talk about some Comic Con that's going on in 3 days, 4 days from now. Let's see. We also want to talk, and I want to talk about the current actor and writer strike. Rob, how you doing? What's shaking, buddy? Well, aside from my cholesterol, not much, but so we're just waiting for Corey to pop on in, and I guess I'll just fill some time until he does. Let me see, check on him. Let's see, he is. You know what? I am just going to send him a quick message. Boom. Okay. Great thing about computers. You can do this all over your phone, but so yeah. How's everyone doing tonight? I'd love to open up the floor to any questions that anyone might have. If not, what I'm probably going to do is just look at the headlines. It's not anything politically related. And just talk about that. Let's see. Where is he? He's not ready. Hey, the Phillies are losing to the Brewers. Do you care? Everyone, list your baseball team. Both of you. I was raised because my mother is from Medford, Mass, which is a suburb of Boston. I think I was required to be a Red Sox fan, especially since I grew up in Fort Myers, and that's where the Red Sox spring train. They basically own the town during that time of year. Mike Greenwell was a former Sox player. He went to the same high school as me. Do I need to be? I feel alone here. You know what, Rob? You know what? Let's see. Can I? Yeah, there we go. Do I need to be on a different platform? I actually consider doing this on Twitch because I know I've got some friends who are on Twitch. They're not on YouTube, and I have some friends who are the other way around. I thought maybe simulcasting it, but if anyone knows anything about StreamYard, if you want to simulcast with them, you've got to pay their fee, and I'm not in a big hurry to spend, I think what I see, $250 a year just to every once in a while stream on two different platforms. If I do this again, I might do this on Twitch. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see, where is, okay, he's not even responding. He's probably taking a poop. Let's see. Well, that's right. It's Wednesday night. So I know a lot of my friends are probably watching AEW, which is fair enough. If anyone saw NXT last night, or if you missed it, you missed a really, it was an average show until the very end, and something crazy happened, and it basically wiped out the memory of the last 2 hours when that happened. Snowy barn owl. I don't know why this is showing up on my trending feed. So yeah, we're getting close to the baseball playoffs. Yeah. what are we? July, August, September? Yeah, we're more than halfway there. I know we just had the All-Star break. Don't ask me who won because getting back to being a baseball fan, I yeah, like I said, if anything, I was a Red Sox fan, but I never really followed them. I couldn't, aside from back in '04 where they had that crazy playoff season where they won they broke the streak. I couldn't name more. I can't name a single player on the team right now. So I'm more of just a fan of the sport itself. Kind of like a lot with me in hockey. I really enjoy watching hockey. I love it more when I'm in person watching, but um I don't have a team. Again, it's probably Boston again, maybe. After that, it's yeah, I remember back in '96, I was a fan of who was it? The Panthers in the year of their rat. That was a lot of fun. The other reason I might do this on Twitch is it allows me to do like the the water break things with the rewards, whatever. Let's see the MLS All Star Game that's coming up. God dang it, Corey, where are you? He is dragging ass. I'll bet. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I was asked about the Godzilla -1 trailer that came out a couple days ago. I'm really looking forward to seeing that when it does come out. I guess you're a Deads fan, although the Reds are playing amazing baseball. Deads is that like a nickname for the Reds? Which I understand that you're being from that area. That's cool. That's fine. I got no problem with it. Again, I can't name a single player on your team. Sorry. I'm also kind of like that with the NFL. I was growing up. I was a crazy Dolphin fan. I love Dan Marino. I don't love Don Shula. I I absolutely love that team. My grandparents were original season ticket holders from their very first year until they moved out of the Orange Bowl into Joe Robbie Stadium, and I have no idea what the stadium is called now. It's changed its name a few times. Bottom of the barrel for decades. Okay, okay. Um, as far as and I was a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan for a little while as well. Until the whole reason I started becoming a fan for them is they started drafting like a good 5-6 years in a row. They were drafting Florida State players like Derek Brooks, Warwick Dunn, like all these great Florida State players. I was like, okay, they're pretty much the Tampa Bay Seminoles now. They won a Super Bowl, and they I think the next season or the season after that, they got rid of 7 players, 6 of which were Seminoles. Were like, I've got no reason to root for them anymore. Yeah, obviously I'm a big Florida State Seminole fan. I love college football. Absolutely love it. I cannot wait for college football to start up soon. I think the pageantry and everything else about college football is just superior to the NFL. The NFL has talent. That's about it. Corey, where are yous? He is dragging his heels. Okay. But yeah, when someone asks me like what NFL team do you like, I'm like, I like NFL. I'm pretty much a free agent sports fan or a free agent fan when it comes to the NFL. I was like, I'm not really. I have no allegiances for any team at any particular time. Not even New England. I do not like New England. It's probably the only sport I don't like. A Boston team. Favorite sport. Okay. Favorite sport. That would probably be football. I love watching hockey. Um, Here's a little fun fact. Also a Vols fan. That's right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know you're saying that for our mutual friend Justin, but and Landon, if neither of which I think are here, which is fine. That's absolutely fine. Um, Favorite sport? Obviously, I did play football for 3 years in high school. Got a bone spur in my neck that ended real quickly. Um, it was on this. I talked about this on the podcast once, but it was on the night my football career ended. Was the night I played against. Um, our school was North High was playing Osceola Vanguard. So on my team was Javon Curse, future NFL Rookie of the Year, and on Osceola side, Osceola, something like that, was the quarterback Dante Culpepper. So doing practice drills, I got ran over by Javon Curse on Tuesday, and then Dante Culpepper on Friday. I don't think many other people can say that. But yeah, that particular game ended my football life. I did wrestle for a year in high school. I think my freshman year. It just never materialized after that. One thing I was actually really good at, but I had absolutely no outlet for was indoor volleyball. I was really good. Like because for gym class, those were your options: play basketball or play volleyball. I'm like, I don't want to do all that running, so I'll just throw the ball up and spike it. But something about the palm of my hand, it would hit the ball and make such a loud slap that it actually frightened some players on the other teams. Like, I don't want to touch that. And I would be the guy to do all the serves. And after 2 years of this, I learned just like how to trajectory it, get the ball like right over the net or really up and down. I got really, really, I mean, you should never brag about yourself, but man, I was really good as a indoor volleyball player. Unfortunately, there was absolutely no boys volleyball class when I was in high school. I don't know if they have it now. They might. I'm not even sure if they have beach volleyball for boys or girls in high school. I really don't know. Oh, I did play golf for a year. I know. My senior year, that's right. My science teacher, not my science teacher, my economics teacher said, "Hey, how's football going?" I was like, I can't play anymore. I'm done. He's like, "Oh, well, and he was like friends with my dad, and he's like, you guys live on the golf course?" We lived on a small, really small golf course in the Fort Myers area, and he asked, "Do you ever go out there and you play?" He's like, "Yeah, every once in a while." I said, "Oh, you should try out for the golf team." I was the only senior on the team. Everyone else was like a freshman or sophomore, which meant I was the one who was allowed to rent the golf carts. Don't give a golf cart to a teenager. I don't care how mature they seem. Don't ever do it because the next day, they had to do a lot of repair work to the grass. We were out there when it was raining, and I was out there doing donuts and tearing up left and right. They didn't think it was me. It was like, oh, it can't be the high schoolers. They're too responsible. Words I have never heard before in my life. Um, I am trying really hard to not get too depressed when I hear about anything newsworthy, like actual political news or whatever. It's it just it mentally drains me. Um, I was raised one particular way, and I believed that particular way for a long time, and then when I got away from the people who point put me in that direction, um, I guess is the way to say it. I started like opening my mind up and making better choices, let's say. But yeah, for years I was not the same person you guys might know today. It's impossible to avoid, yeah. It also didn't help that when for probably a good 15 years, 15, 18 years, something like that, I worked for uh, news stations. So it was just, it was like drilled into me every single day. It's like, here's bad news, here's bad news, here's bad news. He'll hear some fluffy news of a cat getting saved in the tree. Bad news, bad news, bad news. This guy committed this, that guy committed that. It's like, oh my God, you have to just like shut your brain off. That's why sometimes when I would get home, my wife would ask me, "Oh, what'd you guys talk about?" It's like, I don't know. Weren't you had like a 5.5 hour newscast? Yeah. What's the big headline? I have no idea. No clue. Review it, Rob. Awesome. Good to see you. Then and it wasn't bad news, Barrett. I've got some bad news for you. I've do I have the hat in here? I don't have the hat in here. Little story about that is I was walking around in the backstage area about a year ago. I was wearing my Cretins Guild ball cap. It just says Cretins Guild across the front. And no one really paid more than 2 seconds. They didn't care. No one cared. I walk over by catering and there's Wade Barrett. Yeah, Wade Barrett. I almost call him Stu. He's like getting stuff on his plate. He looks over at me and he goes, "What the bloody hell is a Cretins Guild?" It's a podcast I support, I guess, buddy. Well, I never heard of it. Oh, well, that's probably a good thing. I doubt he went right onto his phone and looked for us. I seriously doubt he did that. But at the same time, that's kind of funny. He asked me what it was, and he couldn't give two shits after that. It was really, really funny. I miss Wade Barrett so much. He used to be a commentator for the NXT shows. I now he does SmackDown. Is that right? Yeah, I want to say SmackDown. And I miss his commentary. It was really, really good. It was funny how it was him and I don't remember who his cohort was on this NXT show. But you know the whole deal with wrestlers when they adapt a persona, they're supposed to go by that name from now on. SmackDown, thank you. Yeah, he replaced Pat McAfee, which also I really wish we can get him back. He was so much fun to watch and listen to, but a lot of fun to watch. But back to Wade. So when he was Wade Barrett with WWE, he left to be on the independent scene, and his name was Stu Barrett at the time. I think because his real name is Stu or something like that. And his first, like when he came back to the company, they made him the color commentator for the NXT show. He's there, and after I think it wasn't his first day. I know he was there for about maybe a month, maybe 3 weeks or so. And the play-by-play guy called him Stu. And when I first heard that, I was like, what? Huh? And Wade, he just jumped all over like, my name is Wade. You bloody wanker. I don't think he said that, but I think he really wanted to. Tamsack. Tamsack. Okay. Cool. You'll have to tell me what that means. I no clue. So yeah, and if you didn't see it this week, it's really funny how they're trying to send main roster guys, people who work on the Monday or Friday shows, the big shows, Raw and SmackDown, and they're sending them to NXT to help boost the ratings. And like, hey, we have the world champion on this week. Hey, we have this guy on this week. And the thing is, right now we have this one faction from Raw called Judgment Day. They've been visiting NXT for the last 2 weeks, and everybody on the roster, about 98% of the roster, has worked in NXT before getting called up to the main roster. The funny thing is this faction of Judgment Day, Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio. All of them worked at NXT before getting called up, except for Dominic. He obviously debuted with his dad a little over a year ago, won the tag titles with his dad, and they basically just streamlined this kid into being like one of the main event wrestlers, which was weird because he, if anyone needed to be at NXT, which is the training ground for WWE, it's where they send you to learn how to perform to the way that they want you to perform. They want you to learn the schedule, learn how to do mic work, and learn how to do all this kind of stuff that by the time you get up to Raw or SmackDown, you're well established, you know what to do, and you're ready to hit the ground running. That never happened with Dominic. So all four of them are standing in the NXT ring, and I thought that was really funny that the match they had was Dominic ended up being Wesley for the NXT North American Championship. And I was thinking, the one guy in this group who never spent any time in NXT is now holding an NXT title. Okay, sure. I don't make the calls. Whatever you like. You love the Judgment Day. It's hard to not like them. It's really, really hard not to like the Judgment Day. I mean, they have the most hated guy in Dominic. Everyone hates him. Probably the most over female wrestler with Rhea. And that's a really strange contrast, those two. Just, oh, Corey sent me a message. Yeah, the contrast between those two is nuts. Then you got Finn Balor, who's a main eventer going for the world title, and Damian Priest, who is the Money in the Bank title holder, which means he can challenge for the world, or he can challenge for any title at any point whenever he wants. It's all up to him. Let's see. Reminds me of when Dolph randomly showed up there and won the NXT. Yes. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. The one thing when they do stuff like that is the NXT crowd is very, very welcoming and very accepting, especially in cases of Dolph and Finn and Priest. When they all showed up for the first time, everyone was like first screaming because they were so happy to see him again. But then it was followed up with, "Hey, welcome back, clap, 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 welcome back, clap, clap," that kind of chant, which is really weird when you have some of the biggest heels in the company and they're being welcomed into a venue where they probably would not be if it was a regular venue of someplace. But what I was going to say is Rhea Ripley. I remember people would tell me stories of just when she was in NXT, she was just the nicest, sweetest person in the world. She'd get on camera and she's like the nastiest, meanest thing you'd ever seen in your life. So it was kind of funny how yesterday, as I'm working in my audio booth, someone came in, and because they heard our radio that we keep in the audio booth, and they heard, "Hey, what's going on there?" They poked their head in. They saw two guys working, and we turned around and was like, "Oh, hi. You come to watch? Okay, yeah, sure. Oh, what are we doing here? You don't know? You don't know what this is? Oh, that has happened to me so many times where someone has walked in. We tell them what we're doing in there, and they have no clue that we have been doing this since the Thunderdome era. It's hilarious. It's like we're ruining Christmas for some of these guys. I remember because the guys at NXT, they rehearse all week long, and obviously on Tuesdays they go live on TV. And on Mondays, what they'll do is they'll work and they'll shoot stuff behind the scenes for the show to air on Tuesday, like backstage segments or whatever. It's just easier to tape those before Tuesdays. So on a Monday, we're working, we're doing our thing. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, they do the same exact thing. They come in and it's like, oh, what you guys doing in here? They stood in here in my audio for probably a good hour of Raw and just they were amazed by what we were doing. It's like, wow, I didn't know we were doing this. This is crazy. Like, buddy, this is like one of the most controversial things in all of wrestling. It's going on in this room. That still blows me away that I've done audio for so long, and now I am working for a company I never thought I would. I never thought I would get to that level. It's kind of like it's kind of like being a baseball a Cincinnati Reds fan all the time for years on years, and then you get to work in the press box with I almost said Vin Scully, but I know that's not the right guy. But with their play-by-play team, leads to the question: how much? Let's see. Leads to how much of the reaction to Dom is live? I can tell you for a fact that what you hear on TV is 95% real, absolutely real. Okay. All right, this is cool. All right, so we've been on for about 26 minutes and I've just been talking ad randomly. Usually in situations like this, when you're doing a live thing and you bring someone in, it's best to first mention to them that, hey, we're live. Unfortunately, this guy, or fortunately, I guess, depending on how you see it, this guy has no filter whatsoever. So everyone, welcome to the stream. Corey.
Who the fuck is that? Oh, that's me. Hi.
I want to, oh, wait, I got to take the banner off.
Do I?
No, not you.
Oh, okay. All right.
How do I turn that off?
Damn, that's what it feels like to get like a proper introduction, and that's how I handle it, by completely fucking tripping over the threshold.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Damn it. All right, what's the deal tonight? Are we doing like live? Like, are other people?
Yeah, we are live. We're taking live questions. So far, we got Theme Park Rob and Review It Rob. That's kind of funny that we have both of our Robs, two of our three Robs.
We're getting mobbed by Robs.
Yeah, we got them in the chat.
Oh, hello, hi.
So I was thinking, there's a couple of like headlining events going on I wanted to talk about, some of which would be very interesting to get your take on it.
Okay.
But I just want to, by the way, happy National Hot Dog Day.
It makes sense. Hot dogs ought to have a day. Everybody else does. Every other thing does. I think donuts have like 3 national days throughout the entire year, throughout the span of a year.
Yeah, it's like National Donut Day, National Glazed Donut, National Donut Hole. It's
National Put Your Glaze on a Donut Hole Day. Wait, why did I think of
that's
donuts
a different
first things after you mentioned that it's National Hot Dog Day?
I don't know. Well, I wanted to get your opinion because you lived in Chicago for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you win?
Well, the first time I was there for about a year. The second time, I'd say 6 months, and then the third time about 4 months. So, like, altogether, 2 years.
Yeah, we'll say 2 years worth.
Yeah.
All right. So then you've had some traditional Chicago hot dogs, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. What is a traditional Chicago hot dog?
Usually speaking, now see, I didn't have.
I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I've heard there's no ketchup.
There's no ketchup. No, you don't ask for a ketchup on a hot dog. But it's not like you're gonna get punched in the face if you do. They'll just be like, okay, well, here's ketchup on your hot dog, you fucking weirdo.
Oh, they'll judge you.
Yeah, silently. They won't even tell you that you're a fucking weirdo, but they'll give you your fucking ketchup, you fucking weirdo. No, all right. What else do you think is on a Chicago dog first?
Chicago
so I can get
dog.
like the.
I would say chili. Maybe some chili.
There's no chili. No.
Okay. How about onion?
There is onion. Yes.
Okay. Cheese. That's more of Wisconsin, I would assume, but I figure it's close enough.
No cheese, but I've seen people put cheese on their dogs. Yeah.
Okay. Any kind of like relish or pickle?
You do get relish. You don't get. Wait. Yeah. I'm sorry. You do get a pickle, but it has to be like cut lengthwise and then sandwiched, like wedged right into the bun next to the dog.
Rob just.
They're
I wasn't even
relish-
thinking of that, Rob.
Here comes a Pompillos or a Port. Oh wait, Pompillos or Portillos? Are we talking about the same
I
thing?
think he meant Portillos.
The Portillos.
Yeah.
Well, you go to Port. You can't go to Portillos for Chicago dogs. But you got to go there for the Polish for the most part.
Oh, Polish dog. Well, that's almost a
Mhm.
separate meal altogether.
Yeah, I mean, made with just completely different parts of the pig, and that's if your hot dogs are made out of any part of a pig whatsoever.
Yeah. All right,
Um,
so Rob is saying it's relish, mustard, pickle, and onion.
yes, he's just about there. But what really makes it a Chicago dog, and this is Jay usually gives me like such harsh shit for it, is he calls it a salad on a hot dog. So what else you need is to have 2 sport peppers, tomato slice, and a bunch of celery salt on the top of it. Now,
That's a lot of shit on your dog.
that's a ton of shit on your dog, which is why I tend to get them for dinner whenever I didn't have any money. But what made my enjoyment of the Chicago hot dog very untraditional was that what do I hate on my hot dogs?
Sour cream?
Mustard.
Oh.
I don't have mustard on my hot dogs. So every time I went into there was a place that was literally like a block away from me, called like
There it is.
Flubba Dub. What's that?
First one of the show.
Oh,
see,
no.
I'll mute my mic if I have to cough or burp, but no, you just let it all fly.
That's where the no filter thing came from. Or at least I can live up to that part of the claim, because once you said that, I'm like, shit, do I like drop an N-bomb here or something? I can't do that.
Jesus.
Do I say something like completely abominable? Well, give me
Not
a
yet.
little bit of time to like warm up first.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
got plenty of warming up.
Yeah. So I would go into Flubba Dubs and be like, oh, it's the guy that gets a Chicago dog without any fucking mustard, you fucking weirdo. And I'd be like, yeah, because mustard's disgusting. Unless, and I found this out in the last week, you cook a burger on top of it, then it's like almost god tier. But that's
Drop a what?
If you cook like a burger on top of it. All right, here's what happened. Sorry to bring the conversation away from dogs into something else.
Go for it.
But I got a mailer for a homemade version of the In-N-Out burgers, double monster style. Okay, or I'm sorry, animal style. And that's supposed to be like one of the things that you have to do when you go out to California. And I had been out to California twice recently, and both times I did it. And both times I was like, this fucking sucks. There's no reason anybody should pay like more than $4 for one of these abominations. So
I thought you meant just going to California in general.
no, a lot of California is pretty neat, and a lot of it's not, but it's a huge cut of land. So there's going to be variables. Anyway, we're talking about fucking food, Bob. I don't know why you can't just stay on the subject. Right, burgers. Anyway, so so I was like, okay, well, this tells me how to make my own version of this, but homemade. Let's see if maybe I just got both of these sandwiches from like bad In-N-Outs, and maybe there's something redeemable here. Maybe we can scratch the surface of it. And not only did I end up making like the biggest goddamn hamburger of my entire life, like you should never let me like near a 1 pound slab of meat ever, because I create things that would scare the living fucking lettuce off of a Fuddruckers burger, and you're not supposed to ingest that. Theme park Rob knows In-N-Out is severely overrated. I'll tell you what though, it's not as overrated as goddamn Whataburger is, because Whataburger was just fucking disgusting. In-N-Out, it left me a little bit dry. It was disappointing. Whataburger fucking blows, like capital B blows.
That's a hard B right there.
Yeah. I mean, the rest of the letters are capital too. BLOWS blows all the way, and not in the best of ways. So I went ahead and made one. And what you do is you caramelize onions first, and then you take those out, put them aside, and you drop 2 raw patties into the pan. All right. You don't like hard fry them or anything like that. Salt and pepper on one side, flip them down. On the uncooked side, salt and pepper, and then you slather mustard all over it. And then once the bottom side is done cooking, you flip them so that you're cooking them in the mustard.
You cook it with the mustard on it.
You cook it with the mustard on it, and then you eat it, and then you blow fat ass nuts because that shit is so.
Okay. Jesus Christ. I can't even give you a compliment before you give All right. I was gonna say that makes kind of sense because the moisture from the mustard would soak into the meat as you're cooking it.
Yeah, it doesn't burn or anything. It's
Yeah.
brilliant. And it's funny that like like you brought up the science of it because I'm over here and Mary, she's like a student of the Rachel Ray University of Stovetop Magic and all that. So whenever we're like cooking stuff, she's always dropping this mad science on me, and I'm trying to pick up as much as I can, and that makes total sense. Like
Yeah.
there's, I guess it's because there's too much moisture or something. Whatever it was that you just said, that would make a lot more sense to me if I thought about it for more than a second. It doesn't like there's no chars or anything. You don't even have to scrape anything out of the pan when you're done. And most importantly, it's goddamn delicious. I
Are
had
we
no
talking like
idea.
are we talking like pan fry?
Yep, straight up in not even in an cast iron skillet or anything. You just get a pan,
Right.
put it on the stovetop, and then do what comes naturally.
Oh, okay. So that would lead me up to like my next question. Which would you prefer going back to hot dogs?
Mhm.
Do you prefer them rolled, boiled, steamed, or air fried?
Huh. What's rolled? Oh, you mean like
Where it's on it's on the roller. Yeah.
I didn't know that was officially sanctioned methodology, but
I didn't know what else to
sure.
call it other than the 7-Eleven method.
I'd say corralled, maybe. I don't know. Promenaded. Okay, so rolled. You said steamed, uh,
Boiled and air fried, which is my
boiled, and
personal
air
favorite.
fried. For the longest time, I've had them boiled, and the thing, I'm not super into hot dogs because if you have one like by itself, it's just like I know what part of the raccoon they use to make this, and I'm not
The
into
tail.
it. The tail, yeah. No, pig lips and assholes. You saw The Great Outdoors, right?
Yeah.
It's all byproducts. Hot dogs to me, like au natural, are not that tasty. But I did have them recently, like by themselves, air fried with a couple of notches cut in the top of them, and we crisped them up kind of like around where the cuts were made, and
Oh yeah.
it was actually pretty tasty. So I suppose that would have to be the preferred method. Now, at most of the places that I used to get them at, over there, I don't really know how they cooked them. I think they just straight up grilled all of them. But those you could eat naked without any of the salad involved. Naked
Yeah.
wieners, Bob. There it is. Are you
And
happy now?
I love how I wanted to talk about stuff that's going on in the headlines, and here we are. We're talking about hot dogs and being naked while you're eating them.
What the fuck could be more important than that experience?
I know. Review it. Rob brought up something great. Speaking of dropping bombs, happy Barbenheimer week.
Barbenheimer week. All right. Well, we've got something to Google now. Hang on a sec.
What do you mean Google?
What's Barbenheimer week?
It's the release of Barbie movie and Oppenheimer.
Is an internet phenomenon. It's got its own Wikipedia entry. God damn it. Is an internet phenomenon that began circulating ahead of the simultaneous theatrical release of two films diametrically opposed in genre. All right. So,
You know what it reminds me a lot of when Animal Crossing released the same day as
with
Doom. And
yeah.
the two fan bases like, hey, all right, cool, let's do this.
Yeah, you'd see Isabel saying "rip and tear" until it's done. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
But now that term, the reason it has a Wikipedia page apparently is it's to refer to that phenomenon, that the clashing, I guess, vibes of each of these two disparate properties.
Except for when they don't clash, they actually get along.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, Barbie do be dropping bombs, but I don't know if they wipe out Japan.
I am become deaf.
But I'm only Ken, or I'm just Ken. Ah, fuck! Damn it! Never mind. All right.
You get it right eventually. We'll fix it in post.
Oh, thank you. All right.
All right. So also later on, in like just a few days, we have Comic-Con that's coming on.
Nice rhyming. Your Comic-Con?
No, the Comic-Con.
Oh, SDCC. That one?
Yes.
The one that's over near the In-N-Out on Santa Barbara, like way west of here.
That's what I thought it was, but now that you're asking, I'm questioning it in my head. But I thought that's what it was. Like when you say Comic-Con, it's the San Diego Comic-Con. That there's nothing else that you can just label as Comic-Con and get away with it.
I usually think of like three And just to put all your self-doubt aside, it is San Diego Comic-Con. It's happening? No. July the 20th through the 23rd, and that's pretty soon. I usually think of three of them. It's either the MegaCon, because we've been down there.
Which that one last year, the year before, this year, and next year, completely different times of the year.
Well, yeah, because it was COVID.
Yeah,
for a
it
while,
just
right?
it fluctuated like from May to February to April to July. It's like, what? Pick a fucking month, guys.
It's always going to be March to me. If it ain't, it's going to be like sub Comic-Con. There's SDCC. That's the one that everyone knows. And then there's C2E2, because whereas MegaCon was regional to me, a little while ago, that one's regional to me now. Now there's another big one that people kind of like, actually two, I think, that people kind of forget about, is the New York Comic-Con, which is still a big deal in the entertainment industry. And I believe, hold up. All right, take your shots. I don't think Wizard World is a thing anymore. So.
Oh, I couldn't tell you on that, but
Yeah.
now that you were going low with these other cons, I remember Anime Con in LA a couple of weeks ago just dramatically undervenued or oversold, one of the two, because somebody like lots of people were stepping over to balconies and they were holding their phones out, and you just see like no floor space. It's just all people for.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh,
you've seen it.
Okay, I saw the photo. I didn't know what it was from, but I was like, God damn, that place either smells too much like Axe or too much like ass, and I'm so glad I'm not there.
Or a weird potpourri of the two.
Or a weird, just unseemly potpourri of the two. It's just an assault on the nose.
How is that not like a fire hazard? How is that not a safety issue? I don't care. Just sell the tickets.
Well, okay. If they were standing room, well, they have to stop selling them at some point, correct?
I don't think they did. Other that, or they sold more than the venue could handle. I think one of the major issues was the loading area was on the ground floor. The convention was on the upper floor. The only way to get from lower to upper was this really thin singular escalator.
Oh, wow.
Which just like everyone was just jellyfished around the entrance, and it obviously escalator moves at the speed it does.
Yeah. Escalators move at the speed of escalators. That is actually a scientific demarc.
Yeah. Since we're talking about Comic-Con, I wanted to ask a couple of trivia questions, Comic-Con related, and if anyone is watching, they can type in their answers if they want. This comic book character is considered the first true comic book hero back in 1936, because all comic book characters at that time were story based, like cowboys and Indians or pulp characters. There wasn't an actual superhero hero type of character.
Yeah. So there wasn't like an icon or something.
Yeah. Okay. So who do you think was the first one in 1936?
36. Human Torch. Formerly of no, Human Torch was one of the original Marvels.
Yeah, that's a really good guess, but I think this predates that.
This might predate that. All right, how many guesses does one get?
I guess as many of you. I can give you. I wasn't sure if this would give it away, but I have the creator's name.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead and hit me with that.
Lee Falk.
The Phantom?
The Phantom.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. That's pretty cool. I wouldn't have known that. Well, the Embark Rob got it.
Yeah, he got it.
Yeah.
Unless he Googled it. Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon. Oh, shit. Flash Gordon's a really good guess.
Was Flash Gordon a comic book character?
Yeah,
I thought he was just a serial.
He was a comic strip character first. I was going to go with either Flash Gordon. The Phantom was like way off my radar because I honestly thought that was middle century. I thought Fuck like came way after like even the Spirit. But that might be because they actually ran the Phantom comic strip in the news press. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of equate that with my childhood. and no older. Well, a little bit older than that, but not much. So I was going to say either that or maybe Doc Samson or maybe the Shadow. But I thought the
Oh,
Shadow
Shadow
would.
would have been. Yeah, that would be a
Yeah.
good guess. When did Superman debut?
Superman would have been in the. No.
40s,
No. I think Superman was actually late 30s.
late 30s. Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe the Phantom beat him by like a year or two.
I suppose, but that was one of those things where I just kind of forgot that comic strips existed for a little bit. But not really as a medium. You usually think of like Terry and the Pirates and Crazy Cat and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. A 1962 copy of this comic book was sold for $3.6 million in auction.
I just said a bunch of shit that old people totally know about. Sorry, was the last part of the question?
This comic in 1960, made in 1962, was sold for 3.6 million at auction. The world's most expensive comic book. It's not a traditional name, so think of like what Marvel was before
Oh,
Marvel and DC before DC.
yeah. Review it, Rob, with the year for Superman,
Yeah,
1938.
I
Cool.
see it. Yeah, cool.
That is
Awesome, Rob.
necessary. But yeah, the Phantom just slid. He probably ran past him.
Yeah.
Faster than a speeding bullet, huh? All right, Amazing Fantasy 15. I'm gonna guess that.
You know what? The number isn't listed, but it is Amazing Fantasy.
First appearance of Spider-Man.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Mhm.
62. Yeah, Spider-Man.
All right.
Um,
Wait, how about shit? Now am I like cutting in front of people in line here? Because their immediacy is kind of an advantage to us or to me.
yeah, it takes like 20 seconds to see their responses, but we're all. It's just no one. There's no prize involved, so
What?
no one's.
I'm
Yeah,
not
not even a respect. You take your $10 haircut and get out of here.
Sorry, I forgot you have me under contract.
Yeah, I owe you a Coke.
Where's my Coke, Bob? I'm gonna send the Union boys afterwards if I don't see that 10-pack show up.
Yeah. Breaking kneecaps over a Coca-Cola.
Don't let
All
your Teamsters be memesters.
We'll just do one more of these. That just hit my brainwaves.
Sorry.
I'm sure Theme Park Rob loved that one.
The Twitter post said something about a Ooh. Are you dealing with legalities now?
Okay, sure. Hold me to that in court.
Lawyer up, fellas.
Yeah, one more of these.
Okay.
This market is the largest comic book buying market in the world, with over 2 billion every year. It's kind of a trick question.
Let me see. A market. So you mean like a regional, like a
yes, region.
It's gotta be Japan. If it ain't Japan, then it has to be
Canada.
What the fuck does Canada have?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why they're buying comics.
They have Alpha Flight. Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Huh.
It's not Canada.
All right, no, but that makes me think of France, because France has their own comic book scene, but they still they're one of the heaviest importers of American and Japanese comics at the same time. So shit. I'm still going to go with Japan, because they do import our comics, just not to the volume that France does, and there's more geography to contend with. So probably more outlets.
I never would have guessed that. France imports more of our comics than Japan does.
Dude, France they just love comics.
Is that why they're always rioting?
Could be. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
they don't get enough comics.
I'll ask you this. What does the word manga translate to?
Comics.
Yeah. So
why are you such a son of a bitch, Bob? Jeez, you could have played this fair. We could have Rob's not even going to get his prize now because I guessed ahead of him, and he can't afford lawyers. God damn it, Bob.
Get him pro bono.
All right, I'm over it. I'm fine now.
Okay, yeah, you good?
So manga translates to comics, and that was why it was a trick question.
Yeah,
Canada does have Dudley Do Right. Damn, way to show me up.
Is that a comic?
No, but it's Dudley fucking Do Right.
Fair Fair enough.
They have
We
Dudley
have-
Do-Right, they have Alpha Flight, and technically, yes, they also have Deadpool and Wolverine. But we stole them.
Yeah, we did.
Yep, sorry. I mean, Wolverine is up there. You know, he's all about the beer, and they got Molson. You know, that's worth breaking the border for, probably, to some alcoholics.
Fucking figure it out.
Fucking figure it out.
All right. Well, speaking of stealing stuff, you want to talk about the actor-writer strike that's going on right now?
Sure thing. I have to admit that I like know almost nothing about it.
Oh, don't worry. I've done some research.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Well,
Who
Phil
was
may have
Rocky and
that
Bullwinkle
research.
in Canada?
Yeah, actually, it was Dudley Do-Right versus Boris and Natasha, right? And Boris and Natasha were overlap characters with Rocky and Bullwinkle, correct?
Were they?
I thought they were.
I thought there were separate cartoons made by the same studio.
I mean, there was Dudley Do-Right and then Polly, and Polly was always getting kidnapped and tied to the train tracks. By Boris and Natasha? Oh, fuck. Oh.
Oh, yeah. He had his own bad guy. The handlebar mustache guy.
Well, it wasn't Dick Dastardly, because that's Hanna-Barbera.
No, not him.
Comic book for Canada, and I kid you not, Captain Canuck. He's fucking right. They're actually... I totally forgot about Captain Canuck. Son of a bitch. That's true. And also, I forgot about this too. If we're going with like Batman Incorporated, Canada had their own Batman for a while. I think they probably do still, but you know, Grant Morrison's not writing Batman anymore, so
Well, what was
they probably
he
haven't
called?
mentioned him. Canada's Batman? Hang on a second. This is going to be a Google search. Sorry to be, such a cheater here, but
I thought you were going to tell me one of the Robins was from Canada.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
It's a Canadian Batman is just badass, and the logo looks like a bat but with moose antlers. Nope. I'm not finding any information on the Canadian Batman.
I'm Batman, eh?
All right, Batman of All Nations. This is from the DC Wiki, so let's see what Canada's got. Canada doesn't have one. No, that's not right. Really?
They don't need one because there's no rooftops tall enough for him to rappel from. Like, why don't they have a Spider-Man either? Same reason.
Oh, come on. Like, Vancouver exists. He could be like patrolling the Timmy Hortons,
All crime is within Ontario, man.
That's true, and it's only the major metropolitan areas. I mean, going by that metric, he really only does stick to Gotham City. When crime becomes an international interest to him, it's only because the Justice League ropes him into it. And you've read those issues of the Justice League where Batman's like, "Nope, I'm out. Not good enough. See ya."
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it could probably. I think it wouldn't be Vancouver. Vancouver is well known because it is like a place of industry. It's where a lot of TV shows are filmed.
No, the Vancouver comic book characters are more of like the Wolverine and the wilderness style.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
So they're mostly
good
rural.
Sasquatch, for God's sake.
Sasquatch is class, and how could I forget about him? Shit, Wendigo too. Come to think of it,
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
yeah, basically the same guy. Yeah, but still technically separate characters. No, I think Toronto would be like the home base for the Canadian Batman if there is, and it's fucking weird that I can't locate him on. It's basically like the major node like for the information addicted, and it's like, well, maybe he doesn't exist. Maybe he himself is actually a myth. A guy in Canada went by Brampton Batman. It actually did pop up on the Google search. I didn't know if you wanted to open up the can of worms or not.
I'm suction cup man. Look at me go.
All right. So there's a strike going on, not of Batman, but of writers and actors.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Which would include a couple of Batman, actually.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Some of them are on the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you just like the quick synopsis here. In WGA and the SAG, pushing for increased pay to counter rising inflation, shrinking residuals, and the rise of streaming content. Both want to limit the use of artificial intelligence to generate content.
Yeah.
Now, one example, I don't remember who it was, but there was some actor who posted her list, her residual pay on TikTok or something like that, and it
Mhm.
listed all the episodes that she was in for a whole season, and just it was like 2 pages worth. Do 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 do. At the
Mhm.
very bottom, the payout was $27.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, these people, actors, writers, they are not getting paid, especially the streaming owners are they are stealing from the poor and giving to the rich
Hmm.
without a doubt. The timeline here is back in April 17th, the WGA, they started striking.
Mhm.
Late night shows, late night talk shows, Saturday Night Live, they all went dark or they canceled shows. Um, Last week tonight with John Oliver
Mhm.
ended indefinitely, which
Mhm.
I'm really, really sad about that because that's one of my favorite shows.
Mhm.
Um, Mayim, I always have trouble with her name. Mayim Baliak?
Mayim Bialik,
Mayim Bialik, thank you. She stepped away from
I think.
hosting Jeopardy since
Mhm.
she was a SAG member. Ken Jennings took over since he's just a guy.
I guess does that technically make him a scrub though, or a scab because he's not an actor?
Well, he doesn't have a card, so no, I guess we'll get into that because that's kind of like a gray area.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, let's see. In June, the Directors Guild approved a new contract with the Producer
Mhm.
Guild, which I found that to be a little interesting. Producer or directors were getting what they asked for,
Mhm.
which means they either weren't asking for much other than what they were already getting, or the Producer Guild was like, just give it to them. We don't care.
Yep.
There's only so many of them. We only have like 20 directors. Who cares about the rest?
Who? Okay. One thing I've always been kind of curious about this is what what's the assumed like feeding chain in Hollywood?
How do you say?
Okay, so if we're thinking about like, I can understand. I kind of understood why the writers were going on strikes because it's very much like a gig economy and has been forever, and it's really easy to get railroaded. Um,
Yeah.
if you're doing well for yourself, then you're doing well for yourself, and congratulations. But you're not a millionaire. You might be pulling in six figures, but a lot of people in Hollywood are getting paid way more than you are.
Well,
Uh,
that's a problem that some people who are receiving 5, 6 figures,
mhm.
the cost of living in Los Angeles is just so astronomically high with their insurance and their guild fees
Mhm.
and some other fees that they have to pay that they're
Yeah,
going home with almost nothing.
and the price of an In-N-Out burger. Double,
Well, that's
double,
your own choice at
almost
that
none.
point.
Yeah, yeah, right. That's why I wasn't going to hold the six figures against him. Like whenever, when, yeah, not to use this as like a die-hard barometer, but whenever I mentioned what I was getting paid while living in New York, people would be like, "Why did you give that up?" And it's like, "'Cause you're paying $2,400 a month for rent, dude. That's why." Well, it's not as much. That's not why, but that it's not as much as you think, you know.
Hmm.
So there are expenses that mount, and especially if you're living in Los Angeles, that's another kind of a question for another day. Because remote working should alleviate those kinds of hardships or at least obligations. But whatever, whatever. You're
Yeah.
living in Los Angeles. You're networking in Los Angeles. You're paying Los Angeles cost of living. Oh.
What? Let's see. In July, the Screen Actor Guild decided to
Hmm.
join the strike.
Hmm.
So what are we now? We're in July,
Hmm.
April, May, June, July. We're 3 months into the strike of Hollywood basically being shut down.
Hmm.
Uh, Somebody from the producer guild basically leaked out and this was confirmed to come from them.
Hmm.
The end game is to allow things to drag on until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses. That
Oh,
pro wrestlers aren't that big of heels.
yeah. Actually, Jay was telling me something yesterday about how some of the picket lines, studio property managers I'm hoping I get this right. Studio property managers are being told to trim most of the shade trees located on property, so that the picketers they don't overheat, but so the picketers are not as able to picket for as long as they want to,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
basically
they're doing,
because.
like, all these tactics to try and make
Mhm.
life difficult for the picketers.
Yeah.
Let's see, so the last time we had, like, a big shutdown in production like this over 15 years ago, but this is
Mhm.
also the first time that both the actors and the writers are striking at the same time, so nothing is getting done.
I'd assume because the writers industry stands to be pretty roundly fucking cratered if they fail, and the actors are getting in on it because of like you mentioned before, there are artificial ways to replicate or at least squeeze performances out of somebody who doesn't play ball.
Yeah,
And
it's not just like the head writers and the top actors. It's like all
mhm,
the background actors and the side bit writers and like all the little people. They're not they can't go off and work somewhere else because they have to devote their time to this thing,
mhm,
and they can't make a living since they have to work on this thing.
yeah,
That's
like
a deal.
if being an out of work graphics op is this painful, I couldn't even fucking imagine what being an out of work writers screenwriters like. Rob with the knowledge, both Robs with knowledge actually, is
Yeah.
game shows, reality shows, and soap operas, they have a different union, are not all under SAG rules. And wrestling writers don't count apparently either. That's kind of funny because wrestling shows and soap operas are produced very similarly. I mean, I know it's kind of obvious that people compare them all the time, but they have to be like written in stage day and date. I've been told that like people that star on soap operas treat it very much like a day job, which is why that one guy's been doing that soap opera for like fucking 50 years by this point.
Yeah, the way soap operas work is they're network owned.
Mhm.
The network themselves pay them, so they are contracted differently.
Yeah.
Plus, I I know with like some TV shows, they would have this room full of everyday right. They would have the head writer and
Mhm.
then 5 or 6 support writers, and then maybe 3 or 4 um, bit side writers who
Mhm.
they would come in, they would submit in some shows they were required by the union to take one of the scripts from these side guys and use it in the show in some
Yeah.
way at least once a season,
Mhm.
so those like side guys were always fighting. It's like, hey, here's my story.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. um Game shows, they work under a different kind of contract than other actors and writers, so it's more of the production house. Because I remember the last time there was a writer's strike,
Mhm.
Letterman stayed on air because he met his writers' demands.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, writers who were under the network level, because Letterman owned his own show, he was allowed to do that if he wanted to.
Worldwide Pants.
Yeah,
That was his production company, right?
yeah, he owned it, so he was allowed to cross picket lines. Like, okay, yeah, here, I'm going to pay you. I'm going to pay you. And I
Mhm.
think Conan eventually did the same thing.
Really?
Well, eventually,
Huh.
not at first. Like the first couple of weeks, I don't know. Actually, no, he didn't because his show was owned by NBC from the get go, so he couldn't cross the lines.
I thought the let Oh, I thought you were talking about when he was on TBS.
Oh
Sorry.
no, no, this was 15 years ago when he was still probably before even his Tonight Show run. Yeah.
And it's kind of too bad that talk show hosts don't have their own union
Well, yeah,
for that
they're
reason.
all under the network umbrella, basically. And
Right, yeah.
also with professional wrestlers, I actually wondered that like two things. First off, these guys are on TV all the time and they're talking. Why don't they have SAG membership? It's different rules apparently for wrestlers, but they do have writers.
Well, for
But they're
wrestlers themselves, that was like one of Vince's big things for the longest time, right?
yeah,
No
no
unions.
union.
Yeah,
And
straight
still
up
there's no union.
Jimmy Hoffa on that.
Yeah. But the writers who are working on like a freelance level, so they have different kind of contracts than the regular SAG
Mhm.
and WGA writers.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, to pile on here, the Theater Workers Union is holding a vote to authorize a strike as well. Now, who are the theater worker union? Are we talking movie theaters or are we talking Broadway style theater? And I think either way, I never really thought Broadway was having an issue. I thought they all get paid pretty well. Or
Well, there's overlap with the talent pool that works in Hollywood. It typically, it's kind of like a thing. The Broadway. Okay.
okay.
It's kind of like a thing for when somebody's not doing a movie cycle at the moment that they do a run on Broadway for a little while. And it's usually like I remember Tom Holland was doing a live show back in the UK between Spider-Man shoots. And whenever that show would go off season, he would be available to do the next Spider-Man movie. I kind of assume it works kind of like that. But I kind of thought that they were completely different markets. That's weird.
Yeah,
You're not
they are different contract situations, but at the same time, if they are organized in a union, they can coincide and work with these other unions and strike with them if they want to.
Yeah, sure, but a live performer is not going to be replaced by an AI construct or anything.
Now that raises another question.
I mean,
First off, have you ever read anything written by an AI? Oh my god, how could that pass as a script?
I don't think writers are in danger of like losing their jobs to artificial intelligence. I believe they're in danger of losing their positioning within an already like fucking glutted marketplace. So the funny thing is that like when this writer's strike first happened, I was just like, now how do like the little writers that are like not working and bored and probably pretty fucking bitter right now, not like fucking storming the gates of these places to be like, look, I got a stack of fucking scripts like taller than me. How about you would like to buy all of these? And
The, um,
wouldn't like any studio head be like, all right, well, we got to put something on. Sure, here's like $12,000 for your lifetime's body of work, and that writer would be like, God, I have fucking $12,000 now.
the actor who played Hellboy in the two movies,
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He put out a video,
Mhm.
TikTok, I don't know what it was, where he wasn't he was like legally dancing around it, so he wasn't exactly saying let's do this, but he was kind of hinting, hey, let's go to the CEOs and burn their houses down.
I love Ron.
And
This
it was very, very like, I'm sure if he has a lawyer, he's like, Ron, what the fuck, dude?
I fucking Perlman is so great. I dig him because he actually means his shit. There are famous people that get on Twitter and say stuff that you wonder to yourself in reading it if that's like, are you saying this just because everyone else is saying it or whatever? No, Ron fucking means it. He does because he stands to get in so much shit for half of the stuff that he tweets or puts on TikTok or whatever. His content is just incendiary,
Yeah.
without aim, and completely reckless. It's like that. Ugh, that kind of honesty is so rare, especially in
So
Hollywood.
yeah, and now in support of him,
Uh huh.
the thing is to carry a lighter
Oh yeah.
and just like at random just flick it.
That's fine. If Hollywood pushes him out, he can just go back over to France or Spain or whatever and keep doing foreign movies. That's where he started making his money. Like after Beauty and the Beast was done, he was like, "Well, fuck, I don't have anything to do. All right, I'll learn Spanish. I'll do some Mexican films."
I didn't
Uh,
know that.
He knows Spanish and French.
Oh,
Yeah. So he was doing. That's actually that's where he first. I guess was in a Guillermo del Toro production. Was in Kronos, right? And he didn't play the main character. He was like a side character, and he was mute through most of it. But
oh,
then he starred in City of Lost Children for Jean Caro, and then that he spoke fluent French. So he might have always known French after that. And then he came back to do some more stuff for Del Toro later on.
I
But
can't
yeah,
imagine somebody as gruff as him speaking an elegant language as French.
it's fucking bizarre. I'm not gonna
Yes, it-
lie. Yeah, it's very strange. And that movie was a bit sus in a couple of scenes too to begin with. It's a great movie, but you're dealing with like foreign mindsets at the same time, and it's like with Ron Perlman in the mix, kind of like a fever dream experience. But you know that you've seen Delicatessen before, right? It's a post-apocalyptic movie about a butcher who um, serves meat to his community, but it's human meat, and the human meat comes from members of the community. And you don't remember this?
No, it's like it's right there. It's like I think I've seen it before, but all I'm thinking of Soylent Green.
It's okay. It is a little bit Soylent Green, but it's mostly long pig. Um, in French, whatever that might be. Gros Shokan or Koshan. But yeah, so those movies are very broad and very cartoony, but
Hmm.
without CG and without those special effects and stuff, because that's how they were, designed to be. Uh, that's how they were made,
Yeah.
and it was a perfect fit for Perlman, doing those. But they're fucking crazy experiences.
Getting back to some of the gray areas that we don't really know how much it's going to. I mean, the last time there was a shutdown like this,
Hmm.
you remember some of the shows they either ended outright or ended very badly. Like I
Uh,
think Sarah Chronicles. That show just like, let's just end it. It's done.
that's why I was like, I thought this would have. Oh my god, no, there was a whole decade in between now and the 2000s, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah. It
Whoops.
was like,
All
I
right,
think it's
forgot about
what
that.
killed. I think it's what killed Heroes.
It's what killed Heroes.
Yeah.
I thought nah, Chuck didn't have any. Nah, Chuck was a few years later. I thought Chuck actually took a season off because of some sort of a strike or something else or something or other. But
Well,
maybe I'm mistaking it for something else.
we're probably.
Hmm.
I don't know how long this strike is going to go on. I mean, I've seen some of the writers say, "Hey, we can hold out till October, November, the end of the year or so."
Yeah.
I don't know just how long everyone else. I mean, not just actors and writers. Yeah, we want them to get their money, but also um, season two killed Heroes. Yeah, it was on. It was on the. It was going down the hill without a doubt. The writers' strike just gave them a reason.
The writers were the bullet. The writer's strike was the gun. Right. Uh,
The writers' strike was like, "No, ma, it's my dog."
uh,
Whenever I can bring back to Old Yeller.
I saw that some of this is an interesting side effect, by the way. Thanks for mentioning this review, Rob. I saw it doesn't sound kind of weird to say their like whole name. It's just like Rob and Rob, but you've got two Robs here, and we
Yeah.
have to differentiate. I saw some of the studios are moving shows for reruns for network TV, like that CBS is putting Yellowstone show up, and this surprised the living
Oh
shit out
yeah.
of me.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel,
That's another thing that's going on. It's driving me insane.
they're pulling Miss Marvel off of streaming, and that's opening up the flood fucking gates. Oh my god, they're taking content from off of streaming and then putting it on the air, which is like genius evil shit. I mean,
There's it makes me go back to this whole thing with streaming is
uh
just
huh,
it's so freaking um shady of like what's going on here. Like some of these actors and writers, their
hmm,
contract says that if their show goes to HBO, it says in the contract HBO Max,
yeah,
then they get these residuals and they get these payments, whatever.
yeah,
That streaming service just changed its name to just Max. And the reasoning they say publicly was that
hmm,
Max or HBO is thought of more as adult entertainment with Game of Thrones and Sopranos.
yeah,
I think it's mostly because that way they can get out of some of this contract talk where they owe money if it's going to stream on HBO Max and Max, which is a complete, it's not like they took the engine for HBO Max and just moved it over. It's a different website, it's a different everything. It's
uh huh.
completely 100% new, different streaming service. And I would not be surprised if that's the reason why they made that change.
And that's a very bizarre line of logic too, because when I think of like a premium, like grown up entertainment, I'm not going to think of cinema. Dude, I haven't thought of Cinemax I haven't thought of Cinemax since an age when it was like adult entertainment, and you had to stay up until 2 in the morning to catch that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You
whenever
say
somebody mentions,
Max, and I'm like, oh, Skinamax?
yeah, exactly. It's like they don't have that anymore. But don't ask me how I know. But HBO is what I think of when I think of Game of Thrones. When I think of I'm sorry, not Westwood. Westworld. Oddly enough. Oh fuck. It's probably because I'm like pushing my very meager brain too hard
Yeah.
here. What was the Western with
Soprano. Yeah. West.
Sopranos? Thank you. But it was the old Western with Ian McShane and Timothy Oliphant. and it's really good. And I've been watching it, and I can't remember the title of it.
Yeah, neither can I.
Fuck it, whatever.
Tombstone? No, it wasn't
No,
Tombstone. No.
no. Is it
Deadwood?
Deadwood? Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking A. Which is a great show. But like,
Thanks, Rob.
I I think yeah, there it is. But that's what I think of when somebody says HBO. Is those things. Cinemax is Cinemax has been like a dead brand effectively for like over a decade now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, totally what I think of when somebody says grown-up entertainment is Scooby-Doo, which Max definitely has a bunch of Scooby fucking Doo all up and down its catalog. 20 movies and at least 6 TV shows by my count. Watch Mystery Incorporated. It's excellent.
The only movies on Cinemax is what's been on HBO for the last 10 years.
Right? I mean, okay, so now that you mentioned that, and you mentioned like the technical specifics of residual payouts, does that all make sense? Because something that made me think of something very, very shady that had been going on. Oh, I'm sorry. What do we got? I didn't even know Cinemax was Skinemax is no more, but Cinemax lives on. Deciding to do that right after Disney CEO said they put too many shows out for Marvel.
No,
Yeah.
Bob Iger actually said that, which, for the longest time, I actually was a big Disney Plus supporter because that was the one streaming service that never took anything off. Their library, if something went there, it stayed there. You didn't have to worry about it going away. Netflix, after 1 week, fuck it, get rid of it. Dude. HBO Max, yeah, we're getting rid of this. Disney Plus, it would keep it on forever, and now they're starting to get rid of stuff. What are you short on server space? Why would you do this?
Do you remember when, like, back in like the early days of streaming, people kind of thought of it as like this open crypt where a bunch of really old shit that didn't have very like stringent rights holder. I'm sorry, that's not what I'm trying to say here. The people that held the rights to it didn't really know what to do with it, so they just kind of like dumped it and leased it out to Netflix. Say, here, have Kolchak the Night Stalker. Yeah. Sure, we're not making any money with Knight Rider. I think that's the show that made NBC go, wait a fucking minute. People are sampling the theme song. Maybe somebody remembers Knight Rider. Maybe we should have Knight Rider. But yeah, it was just basically if a movie didn't do that well, it would go over to, well, sure, Drag Me to Hell. We'll drop you on Netflix for about a year. Firefly lived on Netflix for like a decade.
That's where I watched it.
Yeah, that's where I first discovered it. Yeah. And I kind of thought that like because of that would leave a lot of these people that weren't making money with these dormant properties for the longest time to like cull a new audience or to at least invite discovery from some stuff that like isn't of any value to them, not at that moment in time. But then, like, the nostalgia market fucking sent up a bunch of red flags, and the people were like, "No, we got to cash in on this shit right now." That's when it began. That's when it became frustrating, especially when Netflix began losing all this stuff, and it just became a Netflix original. Which, by the way, there's only really one good one. I don't care who the fuck you are. Netflix is effectively the Stranger Things streaming service.
Oh yeah, that's my biggest criticism. That's my biggest criticism of Netflix right now. If it's not Stranger Things, if it doesn't do good in its first 5 days, fuck it, you're done.
Yeah, it's out of here. Sorry.
It's a mindset that drives me insane. I was so looking forward to the live action Cowboy Bebop. It hit the air. I'm not like binging it. Because they dropped it all at once. It's not like, oh, I can just watch one episode, come back next week, watch the second episode. No, it's all right there. Do what you want with it. It's like, okay, I'll watch an episode here. I'll take a few days. I'll watch another episode. And then the next thing I hear, yeah, we're canceling season 2.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a full week.
Yeah. Netflix is only needed for me with Stranger Things, Wednesday, and Rob Zombie's. How is Rob Zombie's Monsters, by the way? We'll give you a couple of minutes to load that up.
Okay, Rob Zombie's Monsters. I did see this.
Because it got some really mixed reviews, but I was kind of looking forward to it.
It did. I think the people that don't like it didn't know what they were in for, because the movie, the Rob Zombie Monsters, is very true to the spirit of the original show. It's campy. It's goofy. It's weird.
So you think maybe people that saw Rob Zombie's Munsters really only saw the words Rob and Zombie with nothing else underneath it, and then they were like, "Oh, let's get in on it."
I think they were either expecting like a true horror movie or like an up to date, realistic retelling of the monsters with the Rob Zombie like
Mhm.
scary twist to it. But no, it was the original monsters.
That's mean. I don't have it. Who's got anything against Rob Zombie or what's her name? Sherry
Uh,
Moon Pie. Like,
yeah, I think her role as Lily Munster, I think she
uh-huh.
was perfect for that because it's over the top, it's overacted, it's terribly acted, and
Yeah, it's all ham.
that's the point of the entire movie. Is like
Mhm.
everything is hammy and campy and over the top and like Dutch angles every which way you look. It's a 60s movie in modern day.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot of people did not like it. They watch it as like, oh, this is terrible. I'm watching it and I'm looking at like some of the really crappy transitional graphics. I was like, this is awesome. This is great.
Yeah, damn, it's too bad I didn't get a good look at it before. We put the kibosh on Netflix over here because they started the whole password sharing thing, which, by the way, if you're experiencing a drop in revenue, Netflix, that might have a little bit to do with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I
fuck
dropped
y'all.
Netflix. I dropped Netflix a little while ago.
Yeah.
Because I was sharing it with my mom because she doesn't have anything else to watch. So I was like, here you go, mom. By the way, mom, I'm taking away Netflix. But guess what? You now have
Oh,
Hulu, HBO, or Max,
yeah.
and Amazon Prime, and you have all these other things that I'm allowed to share the password with you.
9 anime. No, okay,
No,
sorry.
no,
No, you're gonna cut that. I don't want.
no. You need a computer to watch that.
Oh, that's correct. It's the
Her phone
Munsters.
is a little too advanced for her.
Review it. Well, never mind. uh, it's the Munsters made by a Super Munsters fan. He made a car featuring. He made a song featuring the car. For God's sakes, that's true. Um, I regret not being able to see that before we put the kibosh on it. But I wanted to because I kind of knew that Netflix's days were numbered over here. Because honestly, I hadn't had Netflix for like 2 years, and whenever somebody like asks, like, "You seen this thing on Netflix?" No, I haven't had it in a long time. It hasn't been worth it to me for at least since 2021. Um, I got to finish Castlevania, which was great. Oh shit! I'm glad I got to put that to bed. But I was in the middle of Cuphead when it got canceled, and I was like, oh, if Cuphead was like the only thing that interested me at the time, well, and the Munsters, but that was kind of like in the back of my head at the time. Then I'm not really going to be missing anything else on this, and I don't think anybody else is either. So,
Yeah,
whoops.
and, there's some more gray areas that this strike of in affects is really weird, like cosplayers, especially with Comic Con like right around the corner. Yeah, it some of this some cosplay is affected by this strike.
Oh, is because people that do cosplay work as professional makeup artists or wardrobers, or but
It's
that's crew. That's crew.
yeah,
That doesn't
it's
have
not
anything to do.
it's not writers or actors, but it's kind of some of these cosplayers, they're professional cosplayers, they have SAG cards.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's sometimes the characters are being portrayed by that were created by writers who are currently on strike. Like I said, it's a weird gray zone. And I think someone said the best way to get yourself in the clearing is actually call up these unions and say, hey, I'm cosplaying as this character. Am I in the clear? And they'll let you know if like yes or no. Now, if you don't have a SAG card, then and you do it for fun, don't care. Go for it. Go nuts. But if there's a chance somewhere down the road you're going to apply for a SAG card, it could hurt your chances when you do that.
I I'm hmm. Maybe those are cosplayers who do it as a side hustle, for which their main hustle is being an actor.
That's what I'm thinking. There are some cosplayers who are pretty big time,
Yeah,
really well known on the influencer market.
yeah.
So some of them might down the line might apply as a SAG actor. So I think some of the unions were just like, hey, just to be safe,
Hmm.
why don't you call the union and find out first?
Something interesting. The voice actors would obviously be underneath the SAG umbrella, right?
Yes.
At least if they're part of a particular segment of the industry. I know that's
Yep.
kind of like an issue in and of itself, because that's why the Scoob voice actors were recast for the movie, because that scale of production or something had to have this set of actors rather than the original voice actors or some crazy shit. But do you remember the guy that like went viral about like 10 years ago for being like a really comic book accurate Joker cosplayer?
No.
Nah,
No.
I
I
can't
thought you were
remember his
going
name.
to mention Keith Apicary, who's an actor, but he does a lot of online stuff, mostly video game related, where it's not really him; it's a character who's doing these things.
Yeah.
He goes to conventions, he goes to gaming shows and whatever. I've seen him in real life. Um, and I was thinking maybe it's like kind of in that ground. It's like I said, it's a weird gray area. The other thing is Hollywood is going after some online influencers and wanting to hire them
Hmm.
to do promotional work, which that yeah.
See, that was the thing. That was the thing I was telling you about. That was what I was asking about earlier with like writers that are out of work and are like completely like for just selling their shit and not giving a fuck about taboo or like crossing picket lines or whatever. So influencers are now kind of like getting scabbed out.
Yeah. And so yeah, there's a lot of
Ooh.
yeah, and you see the all right, good. You see the issue here.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause like I've been out of work for 2 years. I can't say I would say no. you know?
That was, my friend Sean Roselle on he's like big on the TikTok, and he pointed that out. It's like, man,
Hmm.
if you're just like a small time influencer, and then
Hmm.
Disney comes to you, it's like, hey, you want to make this commercial for us since we can't hire
Yeah.
any actors? It's really hard to say no when they like wave
Yeah.
two grand in your face.
Okay, I'm not doing it for 2 fucking grand. Are you kidding me? Shit. That's see. Here's the thing. You're
All right,
selling your
two
soul.
grand and Disney tickets.
It's.
For you, that's crap. For people who
I
do
moved
Disney
out of
content,
Orlando, man. That
yeah,
does.
well, they obviously would in this situation, they would be targeting people who are Disney influencers.
Right. Okay. That's a good point. But like, I see. I kind of like had a bit of a similar situation like that a couple of days ago, where it was somebody was like, "Hey, would you be able to do this for like $300?" And I'm sorry, please cut that out. Um, would you be able to do this at like half the standard rate? And I was like, well, I could, but what do I do here? I really need the work. It's not that much pay, but if they paid for travel and accommodations. So what I did was I asked them if they would be willing to pay for travel and accommodations, and they said no, and they made that decision painfully easy to make.
Oh yeah, that yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. The thing is that like apparently in that moment, because it was for like 3 days worth of work, my soul does have a pretty chintzy price tag on it. But this is
As
also crewing stuff.
yeah,
It's a
also as
smaller.
a freelancer, and I work with a bunch of freelancers. If
Mhm,
any of us were offered a job that what we had to relocate to for 3 days, whatever,
mhm.
and they weren't going to pay for travel, they weren't going to pay um, what's the where they give you money for food? I forget what that's
Per
called.
diem.
Per diem. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
If they weren't going to offer that, it's like, I'll pass. Thank you.
yeah.
Unless they're paying you over your rate that you were asking for. That's the only situation
That
I would do.
that would be excusable. But like, man, I remember like last year I had a gig out west a little bit, and I ended up like taking Jay's car. I took Jay's car out there and I slept in that fucking thing to do 2 days worth of work, and they were just like, all right, well, here's your six and your six. And they never called me back. I was like, I'm never working for you fuckers again. Not that I'd have the choice really. That was like that was a grand mal rear ending right there. And even if they like came back to me with something like that a little bit bigger, yeah, I'd probably work for them. But it's not a good way to do business. And I think that if they like came up to affluence or just like dangling a couple of K's in front of them, like, hey, it's legit money, right? You want to see what Hollywood looks like? I'd be like, oh, fucking, do you pay traveling and accommodations?
Uh,
Now, the
there's a
thing,
lot of people that would not agree with you.
all right, here's the real deal behind that. you're more visible too. And if anybody got wind of you doing that, then all of a sudden, let's say the pickets are over and everybody goes home and goes back to work, not at the same time, you know what I mean? Um, then they'll remember your name. They'll remember you as like the guy that took 2Ks to come out to Hollywood and take somebody else's job for a little bit
Oh,
while they were fighting for everybody else's jobs at the same time.
I have seen
Hmm.
when I was working for Golf Channel. Remember, there was a strike for the live. I don't know if you were there or not, but the live crew were on a strike from Golf Channel. The
I
union.
remember. I remember this. I was up in Chicago at the time. Yeah, they
Okay,
were
yeah.
talking about it. Yeah.
And so they brought in some of the Orlando studio people to go to the location. I think it was in Hawaii,
Hmm.
work the show, do their thing, and go home.
Hmm.
And then the some of the union workers were taking photos of these employees who were going in to do a job,
Hmm.
getting labeled online as scab, and you would
Hmm.
just see like I saw coworkers of mine on these like Instagram or Twitter shots,
Hmm.
and they were being labeled as scabs and like you should never work with this person ever again. It's like holy shit. So yeah,
Huh.
some of these people are vicious. If you cross picket lines, there are people on the other side who will take note.
Here, teach. Can I front row? Can I sit? Can I ask a question? I got a
You,
question.
you got to go to the bathroom.
No, I don't have to go to the bathroom. I just went to the bathroom.
Okay.
I was wondering. Okay, so people that we knew that were working on property that are part of the union were being
No,
labeled. Oh.
people who worked in the studio in Orlando were
Uh-huh.
going out to fill in for these union workers, and they were being
Oh.
labeled as scabs.
Oh, it obviously didn't stick because a lot of the people that we know are still very much working.
Yeah, one of them ended up being my supervisor. So
Yeah, obviously. Which makes me wonder if like I'm on. Somebody took a picture of me and was like, "Don't hire that fuckhead ever again."
don't worry, I think there's a book out there with my photo in it as well.
I don't know, man. You're banking way more gigs than I've been in the last fucking 2 years, even. Um,
Yep.
that's one thing I keep thinking about is like maybe somebody like actually did say to somebody else, "Don't do this." I've had some really weird rejections, like in the year and change that I've been trying to get work. It's fucking weird. Like the one place that I was at a couple of months ago. Sorry, we're not supposed to be airing grievances here.
Yeah, yes, let's.
Yeah, right.
I
Anyway,
do want to bring up one thing.
okay.
The artificial intelligence thing. I don't
Hmm.
know exactly what that involves because, as we discussed, anything written by AI,
Hmm.
it's garbage. So on because the actors are also pushing for this, and the only situation I can think of that they've done this in the past is where James Earl Jones laid down
Hmm.
his voice for Star Wars, Disney, whatever.
Hmm.
So his voice can be the voice of Darth Vader for eternity.
Right. Yeah.
So that's going to be artificially created of his voice reading the lines from
Yeah.
now on.
Yeah. And he agreed to that, but that was also before this all started.
Right, but I'm
Um.
wondering
Yeah.
if it's along those lines that actors are pretty pissed off at because that's not going to allow another actor somewhere down the line to be the voice actor of Darth Vader.
Jay was talking about something like this last night. And I was thinking about this since he mentioned it. And I have like my own probably grossly misinformed take on it, but I'll put his out here first. He was talking about this mostly affecting extras and people that would not be in a position to trademark their faces. Like if we're saying, I th- like if we're talking about like the recent Flash movie, you know how Nicolas Cage showed up. By the way, spoiler: Nicolas Cage is in the Flash of Superman.
It was ruined
Um,
before the movie came out for me.
yeah, that's fine because the CG was dodgy. People felt like they weren't really ruining much of anything, but whatever. They had his likeness in Superman, and one of the first things that I thought was like, oh, that's pretty funny, that's cute. I wonder how Nicolas Cage was able to get. Oh, because he's Nicolas Cage and he does anything nowadays. So whenever you want to use an actor's likeness, you have to go to that actor and say, hey, can we use your likeness for this? And that affects everything. Do you remember how like when licensed pinball machines back in the day would have like Arnold Schwarzenegger's face on like the back glass, but it didn't look a fucking thing like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
It just looks sort of like him. It's because they couldn't pay for the licensing fees for his
I thought it was just
likeness.
because they hired a bad artist.
Sometimes that happens, but like they were able to get most of the actors licenses for the Lethal Weapon machine, which is a great looking table, but they weren't able to get Mel Gibson's, and you can tell. But Joe Pesci's was like spot on. His caricature was like very accurate, and so was Danny Glover's. But same sort of deal. You deal with an actor, you deal with their likeness, you have to pay licensing fees. Not so much with their voice, especially if it's artificially replicated.
Okay.
Whoops. So that's one canard. The thing that Jay had mentioned was that if you are an extra or a sort of a below the table kind of an asset to a production, what had started to become regular practice was that in order to part of your contract as an extra is to give them your likeness in perpetuity, and they would give you nothing for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because obviously, if some big names and they're going to be used for marketing reasons or
Mhm.
merchandise reasons, that would get worked into the contract. Meanwhile, the left shark number 2 doesn't get any information, any backing
Left
whatsoever.
Shark was the hero of the entire fucking production. They better give him legacy for that. Screen Rant review at Rob with Screen Rant just put out a list of 10 times Hollywood has used a dead actor for a film. And I
In
love
those
the cast,
situations,
by the way.
I'm pretty sure it's where they went to the estate of the actor and it's like, hey, we're gonna do this. Do we have your permission to do this and whatever? And we'll pay
Yeah,
you. I think
yeah.
it obviously because obviously they've done this for Star Wars a couple of times.
They did that with Nancy Marchand when she died before they could kill her off on The Sopranos.
Yeah. Oh God, that was awful.
Who was Nancy Marchand? Well, they
She
did it with
was
they
she
did it
was
with
the mother.
Okay, all right, thank you. Obviously, I've never seen any of the fucking Sopranos except for one episode.
I only know
Yeah.
that because I remember seeing footage of it's like, hey, this actress was replaced after she died, and here's the footage. I'm like, oh
Mhm.
my God, that is awful. But
Yeah,
it was also at the time where you could tell money wasn't really being put into HBO
yeah,
wasn't paying for graphics for
yeah,
Sopranos.
yeah. So they just use like a fake shemp, more or less?
It looked bad, but it kind of it was like somebody was wearing clay, digital clay type of
Ooh.
deal. It didn't look good. Thank God that the shots didn't last long, but someone like you and me would note it like right away. It's like, ooh, why does she have lines around her head?
Ouch. God damn it. There was they reminded me, they did it with John Candy with Wagons East. Remember that?
That wasn't as bad as this. I
Mhm.
always think about that one movie they made after Bruce Lee died, where it was starring Bruce Lee, and they just used some footage that he had shot.
Uh-huh.
And there's literally a shot where the actor is looking in a mirror, the camera's pointing at the mirror,
Mhm.
and there's just a cardboard cutout on the mirror of Bruce Lee's face, and it looks horrible, just god awful. And that's always what I think of when I hear they've used a dead actor's face. I
Ugh.
gotta find that image.
See, the funny thing is I've never seen this movie that you're talking about, and I absolutely fucking must now. But whenever I think of the whole dead actor question, I mean, the second thing that pops into my head is the example from Wagons East. The first thing is, I mean, this doesn't skirt legalities or anything. Carrie Fisher was recently alive, is when they do digital constructs of recently deceased actors, especially as their like younger selves, and it is like the crassest shit because it's like it's kind of like it's generally understood among stagecraft that like if a character's actor passes away, then I mean they were able to do it with all. Sorry, I'm kind of chasing two divergent trains of thought here. That you just recast it because it's going to be fucking gross either way, and it's going to be a schism of recognizability from jump, and it's kind of traditional to do it on stage productions anyway. Secondly, they did it with Alden Ehrenreich for Solo. Harrison Ford's not even dead. I mean,
Right.
why would they not recast a younger Carrie Fisher?
Well,
I'm
remember
sorry,
the flack that movie. Well, that movie got unfair flack because I thought Solo was a great movie.
it was a good movie. I mean, the last line was kind of retarded, but I'm not going to blame it on the entire movie. Like 98 minutes of excellence cannot be undone by just one bad line, maybe 3 bad lines, but it skirts the rule and therefore it endures. Anyway, right. That was more for me than it was for you. I'm just trying to justify that shit. This and the de-aging. Sorry, let me see. Review what Rob's saying. Is this the movie?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up where's the thing? Where's the right? Here we go.
All right. Okay.
So yeah, this is like a cutout of Bruce Lee's face on a mirror, and it's too pixelated to actually tell, but it's
I can see that
really bad.
there's a hard outline, but to me, because it's a still and because it's kind of crushed, it does look like a cheap mat. And
Yeah.
we've seen plenty of cheap mats. We grew up in the 80s. Maybe in motion, the effect will be a little bit more complete. But I mean, honestly, it does look the kind of bad that special effects people were able to achieve at that
The
time.
Game of Death. Look, it's called The Game of Death. Just look that up and you'll find it.
All right. I think this review at Rob is saying, I think this and the de-aging has showed the studios they have powers to play with, and it's scary. Now, you see, here's the thing. They did something with another actor and scanned Carrie Fisher for Rogue One, if I remember correctly. Well, they did it with Peter Cushing also, right? With Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to call him Grand Moff Diver because that joke never dies.
There have been times where they get the de-aging really bad, which is the majority of time, but there are few instances where it does look really good.
The de-aging by itself, with a live actor tends to not risk much because you still have the actor there as a stand-in. They de-aged. I was about to use the worst example, so I'll go ahead with it. They de-aged Kurt Russell for Guardians 2, right? But the man hasn't fucking aged a day past 50 anyway. So,
in the flashback scenes,
in the flashback sequences, right? So they had some like pretty solid DNA to work with there. Much respect to the Russells family tree. They did something with Samuel Jackson with a Secret Invasion, and I think Captain Marvel also, right?
Because you're thinking Captain Marvel, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Secret Invasion also has a de-aged Fury in it as well, and I was like, well, okay, he does age pretty well, but he's pretty visibly different nowadays, and this is pretty well done. When you're working off of a straight digital construct, you've got to create that thing from whole fucking cloth, and you're not de-aging something so much as you are just trying to bring somebody back from the dead. And I don't know how many times Frankenstein has to be told that never really turns out all that well, even in a virtual sense. It just, at the end of the day, at best, it's going to look like fucking tacky as balls, and at worst, ghoulish. Straight ghoulish.
The majority of times when these things look as bad as they do, it's because the artists, the digital artists, they're not given the time that they need to work on it. Great example of that is when they de-aged Luke Skywalker for The Mandalorian. The first time around, it looked like a PS2 model was walking around.
Ouch.
But for his next appearance in, I think, Mandalorian Season 3 or something, or Book of Boba Fett, it looks really good. He's walking around. It's bright sunlight, and the shading and everything and the movement actually looks good. It looks like a young Luke Skywalker.
Boba Boba?
Boba Boba.
Boba Boba?
Boba.
Boba Boba?
Boba Tea.
Marvel review it. Rob's pointing out that Marvel did it first with RDJ, I think, in Civil War, but can be very wrong. You mean like first in the Marvel universe?
Not sure. No, actually, they had a lot of experience with not with de-aging, but physical manipulation with Captain America. So remember the first scenes where he's a little short guy.
Yeah.
So they had some experience with that.
Yeah, they had to emaciate him somewhat. It's the same technology. I think he's talking about context though, because he had to be physically different for that role as well. And when you're looking at a de-aged actor, you're looking at him from a current, like a contemporary point of reference. They did a pretty good job with him in Civil War, though. But
Yeah.
also, that could be because RDJ, he got cut. He's an actor, And come to think of it, maybe Kurt Russell did the same way too. But I don't. It's Kurt
No, I
Russell. I'm
think
not
the
going to talk
Marvel
shit about him.
movies get it right because they're given the time to work on it. And in cases like Black Panther, where they're rushed out the door, it looks like
Mhm.
two rag dolls flying around.
Oh God, yeah, that. Right. No, there was actually a really egregious fucking flub in something Marvel related recently. Where I was just like, I'm trying to remember what it was. It's not coming to me though, so let's move past it. But speaking of like digital makeup, did you ever see the Ghostbusters sequel, Afterlife?
Yes.
And all right, so you know that they brought Harold Ramis back for that. All right.
Kind of, yeah.
So when I first heard about this, I was just like, "Fucking great! This is going to be gross as hell." I liked the way they handled it. Um, I don't necessarily think they could have like put the entire narrative around him. That seemed to be a little bit forced, but the way that they did it was that throughout like at least three-quarters of the movie, they shot around his face. They cut him off. Because most of these were in flashbacks and they were like vague memory flashbacks to begin with. And you weren't really supposed to know who the narrative was concerning at that point in the movie, right? So you
Right.
just saw feet, you just saw arms, you just saw a workbench. These are vestiges of the character that we think we know, but maybe not.
It's the Jaws method. Don't show the monster until you need to.
Right. So eventually they showed the monster at the end and they showed him as a ghost. And I was like, all right, I know they're going to do this. So like, get ready for it. It wasn't that bad.
And I think the reason it wasn't that bad is because one, he wasn't talking,
He didn't
so
talk. That's
the
it. Yeah.
that could throw it off a little bit. But the other
Hmm.
thing that really helps, and I see when de-aging or artificial look
Hmm.
doesn't, or when it does work, it's because of particular lighting. If you light something a particular way, it
Hmm.
looks more credible.
Yeah. Lighting. We know because we're fucking nerds. That lighting can like absolutely smash or eulogize, not eulogize, create a scene. It makes the shot.
Yes.
And people don't really think about that because of all the stuff that's just mise en scène to begin with. Blocking, actors, the set, blah blah blah. But it's the lighting that pulls all of that together. And I think that when you're dealing with a director who's not like a stage first director and only comes from like a CG background, they consider it because they have to in the most fundamentally technical sense, but they don't really feel where it's going to go. It's like somebody who's like really technical with a guitar, but still doesn't know how to solo. They might be like proficient as fuck and reliable, but you're not going to be feeling it. And I know that's like the film douchiest thing to be saying about this,
No, no, no.
but that
I get what you're saying. It's kind of like you're a sound engineer. You can tune a guitar. You
uh
can
huh.
do everything. You just can't play it.
Right, right. There's something innate that's lacking, and it's like when you watch a really old movie. And I was talking to somebody about this. Like I saw the After Hours a couple of weeks ago, and that was a kind of a sort of an obscure Martin Scorsese movie from the '80s. I was like exhausted afterwards because I was like, "This is a real movie." I forgot what these fucking things feel like, and because they're usually made nowadays with I guess such a rigid I don't want to say formula because that's like needless cynicism, but there are expectations within the content that we consume that has to be produced for a very specific production line, for lack of a more elegant term. Um, well, you kind of approached it with that. The lighting is good. They used an actor that's like this is like his whole wheelhouse. He's basically like a makeup actor like Doug Jones, just a little less famous. And then they applied like a digital wig and some embellishments afterwards to kind of age him upwards.
Right.
That I believe was like technically where they succeeded. A lot of thought went into that shot, and it was like total maybe 6 seconds of film, you
Yeah.
know. And the fact now, when I was trying to draw the distinction between like tacky and ghoulish, tacky is when they let the character talk, and they didn't let him talk.
Sometimes that can break it. Yeah.
Yeah, They need that character, especially since it was like an implied exit. This guy is moving on from this movie or this story nowadays. This character is moving on from the story. I mean, we know why. The people in the movie don't know why. He's just fucking dead. How'd he die? All these other mysteries are like coming to light in that moment. And that's all they need to know about him in that scene. Don't have him fucking talk. Don't say goodbye to your grandson or anything like that. He showed up to do what he needed to do. These guys know why. And now it's over. Exit scene.
Yeah.
That's how you fucking do that. That's how you bring somebody back from the dead. It has to be conceived of on the screenplay first. Not in post, you bitches. Anyway.
All right. So one other thing I wanted to talk about. Have you watched any of Secret Invasion?
Well, yeah, I mean,
A simple yes or no.
we were just talking about Sam Jackson, right?
Yeah.
The reason I mentioned him is because, yeah, I had unfortunately been watching Secret Invasion.
Okay, I'm like the series. It's like a low key spy kind of show. So
Low-key, it has this.
It doesn't feel like a superhero show.
This is the reason I started watching it, because it was like a low-key spy thriller plus Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And once I saw the trailer, I was like, woo! You know, fucking went ghostly goobs. And it's got an amazing cast. It's got a fantastic fucking cast.
The show aside, the thing I think is getting way more discussion that I actually personally feel that doesn't deserve it is the intro for the series.
Oh, the
show
AI-produced intro? Yeah.
Yeah, the AI, where it's obviously you've seen it. So it's kind of like this morphing. It's kind of like chat AI. If you type in like something and it gives you the graphic of it and it looks all swirly and awful and weird and the AI doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so this artist, this digital artist actually made the intro to look like that, which kind of fits the theme of how the Skrulls are infiltrating into human life and they're kind of swirling and everything. It's weird. It's AI looking, but what I see online more than anything else is people complaining you should hire real artists. Like, a real artist made that. A real artist. I mean, just because his canvas is a computer screen, that doesn't mean that he's not doing exactly what an artist should be doing. It's just that's his style of art.
A real artist conceived of it. And by the way, I'm totally with you on it. I don't believe there's an ethical quandary about it whatsoever. He used AI as a medium and not as a vehicle. That's
and it's
fine.
not so much. I mean, it's not like these TikTok filters where you're hitting a button and then it just wipes through and it gives you a different AI filter or whatever. It's definitely something more complex than that. It's not like you just hit the space bar. It's like, well, I got an intro.
Oh, what people kind of like fail to realize about AI is that they think it's just some sort of like this digital monomind that pulls from like all of these sources of already like pre-existing visuals and works in order to create it. I know it doesn't work like that. I mean, well, your few mostly well-known like AI composite modelers will pull from like readily available sources and then like cross-reference those against other ones. And then it sounds like I'm saying exactly what it just said doesn't happen. But the thing is that it's not as Skynet as people think it is. And they also think that it is just like people sitting behind a button that says, make me art.
Yeah.
And then it just
where's the art button?
I want art. Well, what setting do you want? I want big titty anime art. Boop. And then you press the button and all of a sudden you've got that. It's not I was literally talking to somebody about this like last night. It's like, yeah, I want to start like an OnlyFans account where I'm just doing AI titty art. It's like, dude, it's not that simple. Trust me. It's not like a ham ass Instagram account, dude. Trust me. Speaking as like an Instagram glitch artist with like no following fucking whatsoever, I should be bitter about this. I am where it counts. The guy that made the intro to Secret Invasion, which by the way is the least offensive part of that show to me, he should not, or they should not be getting the shit that they're getting over it.
No.
Like, and and most of the criticism is coming from people that just think that he just sat there and said, here, here's the art button. I hit it once. All of a sudden, you've got this intro, and then that's it. It's clearly not the case. There is a definitive vision involved, and yeah, we can be like film school snotty about the symbology that he incorporated into it. I got it, but you're attacking the wrong guy. You're attacking an artist who's using AI as his tool, not as a scapegoat or not as wolf's sheep's clothing.
Uh-huh.
This reminds me of the scene review it Rob says. That's like douchey shock jock shit. This reminds me of a scene in iRobot where Will Smith asks the robot if he can draw a masterpiece, and the robot replies, "Can you?" Oh, I've drawn many masterpieces in my time. All of them are strangely dick shaped.
Remember the Great Dick War at
The
Fox?
Great Dick War. That wasn't me though. That was the work of two actual.
Yes, but you wanted to take part. You wanted to volunteer for that
I wanted
army.
to, and the reason I did it is because I was afraid that I wouldn't cut the fucking mustard. But dude, this is so
how
funny.
that all ended was the best part of that story.
I know. You can tell it. I've told enough people. Okay, go
All
ahead.
right,
go ahead.
so people who didn't know, Corey and I used to work at a Fox affiliate here in Orlando,
Mhm.
and some of the night crew and morning crew, I think it was, were getting into wars of leaving little notes of pictures of dicks, like
Yeah.
hand-drawn pictures, not like they took
They-
photos of their own
They
and
called
whatever.
it like the Hogageddon or the
Hogageddon,
Hogapocalypse
yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
And they would hide it like in scripts, or they would hide it like in a guy's locker. You would open it up, it's like, oh, okay, there's cack right there in my face.
My favorite one, which is not the one you're going to mention. My favorite one was when they. Oh, that is the one you're going to mention. I'm sorry.
No,
Let me
what?
let me see where you're going first. I want to see where you're going first. Okay.
Well, I was gonna tell how it all came to an end.
Right. Well, put a stop to it.
Yeah. I think it was Casey or Don or one of the higher ups
Mhm.
of our department,
Mhm.
was giving a tour, opens up the control room, and we had like this little bulletin board where we put like notes and stuff, and it's like, there's a flaming hog right there for everyone to see.
He got the bulletin board like that month or something,
Yeah.
so they would be able to see each other's schedules. And the first thing you do is just like deface it.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, is he was not surprised at all.
He probably just looked at it, was like,
And there's a dick.
yeah, all right. Well, here's the control room, guys. No, I thought it was like one of the two instances. The one where they left a hog. I guess they did like a telethon like the previous weekend, and somebody came in to like pick up all the phones and round up all the hardware that they left behind, and they left a dick underneath the handset on one of the phones.
Was it the producer phone?
I don't know. I just remember that like Chico's telling somebody like had to clean up the phones, and they picked the receiver up, and they're like, all of a sudden there's a dick there. But that wasn't supposedly the crowning achievement. And this happened, I guess, before the bulletin board thing happened. Somebody God, I can't even imagine a project of this scale. And some part of me still believes that maybe they're like bullshitting me somewhat. But Don apparently came back to his office one day. And do you remember how they had those cabinets over the desks where the lids would flip up, right? And he kept them he kept file folders and books and shit in there. He came back to the office one day, and I guess that's where he kept his like employee vacation slips, and he pulls the lid up, and then all of a sudden, like the old style gatefold printer paper that he used to use through a dot matrix feeder, it came spilling out of it.
Where it's all perforated, like sheet after sheet after sheet.
It was taped to the lid, and the entire thing was a dick.
The funny thing is his office was in perfect view of the news director, so if they were looking over at the time, they would have saw that.
And Rob's mentioning Superbad. That's the thing. All of this actually happened supposedly before I think Bob and I started working there. But when we started working there, Superbad just came out. And then all of a sudden it all started all over again. And And as soon as like Don caught like wind of a single dick hitting the bulletin board or something, he was like, "Guys, I can't let you do this again." So that was how we got roped into it. And then afterwards, my friend Vince and I kept the tradition alive on Facebook, and I'm so shocked we were able to do that. But like, if I did that nowadays, oh my god, I would have gotten reported like immediately. Oh shit! But that'd be really stupid because like mostly work people follow me on Facebook now. Um, yeah, that was the great dick off of 2008. And as for what that has to do with the writers and actors screen
How do we how do
screen
we
guild strikes,
transition?
I have no idea. Maybe Jonah Hill and Michael Cera are part of it, and their picket line signs are like "Don't dick us" or something like that.
As long as they're carrying a lighter with them.
As long as they're carrying a lighter with them,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my god! All right, is that what you call a closer?
Yeah, I
Is
think
pretty
that's a
much
good
it?
way
Oh,
to
okay,
go out.
fuck.
Oh
Oh,
god.
that's perfect,
Yeah.
and
So
so painfully on brand too.
yeah, review it, Rob, Theme Park Rob, and anyone else who might have just tuned in for a few minutes
Mhm.
to listen to this insanity. Got to thank you an awful lot. Should
They're
we
like a
do this
few
again?
minutes.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm surprised that like we never talked about the hog off.
I think we touched on it. We
Really? It never
we
went.
touched the tip.
We did.
You gave me that opening. Thank you.
We were gonna whip it out eventually. Phrasing. Are we doing phrasing
It,
again?
it dribbled out once in a while.
Oh, that's gonna. Hey,
That's not as bad.
Since Rob seems to know about Archer, what's your thoughts on it ending next year?
I'm behind by a season or two.
I thought you were gonna say I'm behind it ending because the last season sucked out loud.
Oh, really?
It's so unfunny now. Yeah, I can't believe what I like when they brought it back to the modern. Well, not the modern era. When they brought it back to I guess Archer's era, they started off like mega strong. That first episode with the Judas Priest opening was just like shit. This is classic cinema. This is what TV's all about. And then like it was mostly interesting all the way up until like the middle of the season, and then once they no, actually, no, it remained interesting up until the end because then they started teasing that maybe he wasn't completely out of the Matrix yet. But then they kind of like wheeled back on that in the next season, and it was just like gags and shit. And I'm like, I can't even remember what happened in the season after that. And this season, I've seen 2 episodes, and it's
Hmm.
been like, Jesus, this is like so joyless. What the fuck happened? Yeah,
That's disappointing. But it's
yeah,
probably like, oh, last season. Who cares?
yeah. Adam Reed like wrote 1 episode last season, and it fucking showed. It like nobody seemed to care. It was how, like the worst Simpsons episodes are all like references to jokes that they told in the past that landed,
Yeah.
and how fucking sad those are. It was a lot of that. So, mental note: if you ever get into like creating a televised TV comedy and it's super successful in its first 4 or so years, end it. Just pull the plug on it because eventually, if you let it go on, you're just going to be like referring to your own better fucking jokes, and that's terrible. That is like that's like comedy death, but in the forever hallway, you know. Anyway, all right. Sorry, I was asking Rob a question. Shit, how'd that happen?
I don't know. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Anyway.
But we are going to sign off,
Oh
guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks for watching in. Thanks for giving us questions and commenting. Absolutely freaking loved it. We'll probably do this again another time. Can't tell you when, but because this
No,
doesn't always work. Sometimes we go live and no one watches. But
yeah.
you
Or
guys
some
you guys made it worthwhile.
Sometimes I fuck up dinner and don't show up until like 20 minutes into the broadcast.
Ah, I was able to fill. I was starting to get dry, but I could fill for a while.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Uh,
I didn't know we were on a schedule tonight. I would
well,
have, yeah.
that's kind of what had made it feel more real when.
Showing up Johnny come lately like a dead Egon Spangler all of a sudden.
Well, I mean, it reminds me when I was a guest on the Monday Morning Monorail podcast,
Mhm.
where it was supposed to be them, me, and Landon,
Right.
and Landon got so freaking drunk he forgot the time that we started, so he just popped in and he literally for the rest of the show was going fireball. That's all he would say.
The entire show?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure that would have killed.
It did the first 3 times. After that,
The first
okay.
oh, darn
Have another drink there, dude.
it. I don't know. Maybe he can own it next time. Who knows?
Maybe he's made up for it by helping me out with a few things. But
Cool.
in the meantime, guys, again, thanks for watching. We are going to sign off. You can get hold of us. Our Cretins Guild socials are at Cretins Guild on
The Rob Mob is ready. Fucking A.
the Council of Robs. We have the Council of Bobs of Theme Park Rob, myself, and Bob the Cocktail Bob.
What about $100 Rob?
Who's $100 Rob?
He lives with you. You know, 100.
Oh,
the
100.
legendary $100 Rob.
Okay, Robbie. Yes.
Yeah, Robbie. That's right.
There's also Random Rob.
That's true. There's also Random Rob, but
God
he's too
damn, I know.
random, so we can't really count.
Yeah.
He's unreliable. He's Random Rob.
So if you want to find out of our socials, you know the deal. Look for Cretins Guild on Instagram, Twitter, and I don't know. We still have a Facebook account, I think, but I don't know why we don't update it because
Can't post any hogs on it.
Yeah. We do have links to our shops where you can find some of our merchandise is there. I know Theme Park Rob's got this beautiful orange Halloween style t-shirt of ours that we're all getting ready to wear for Halloween Horror Nights in just a couple of weeks. So that's probably gonna be another discussion for us pretty soon.
God, already?
Yeah.
Ugh. Christ.
What do you mean? We live for this.
Well, I used to when I had money.
Well, come on down. I'll take you.
I'll try to if I can do it.
All right.
I just had a really good idea with all the Rob following that we've got going in our favor. I had a pretty slick idea for like the next Cretins Championship, but after the show. So
okay,
it's a secret.
It's a secret.
It's a secret.
Don't tell anyone.
Okay. Had the standard black. Who's he talking about? Oh yes, HHN talk. It's the season. I just wasn't aware.
Well, it's almost the season.
Almost.
I just bought my Rush of Fear pass, so and they don't even have all the houses announced yet.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, they're delaying it this year. So after all that, guys, we just got to say thanks for watching again. And what the hell do we seg out with?
Dicks.
Yeah. There's a hog. Good night.
To all your dogs and cats.